instance, I would like actually to pose a question to Joseph and to say I've heard what you are saying, you know, what happened since 1652, since 1994. And sometimes it comes across that we see you as an opponent and you're not. You know, Solidarity is a trade union, so the fact that we've got a long-standing relationship with the NUM doesn't mean we also would like to have a similar relationship with AMCU. But at this stage, one of the things that makes it difficult is if we look at the current industrial relations climate and the issues, it seems that despite the fact that you're fighting a noble cause and that AMCU brought a lot of energy into the mining industry, the way we regard it is as if you want to fix an instrument or a toy by hitting it with a hammer. Or if I get into regional politics and say, Mr. Mugabe, if you listen to him, it seems that he's got a very noble cause, but he's destroying a country. So our question to you is it appropriate to try and change the past in one big process, one destructive strike? The price that's getting paid by everybody involved is way too high, and I was hoping that you can just clarify that issue for us.
Mr. Mathunjwa?
Yes, thank you. I think it's very much incorrect to suggest that we want to fix everything at once. If you look at how our structure of our demands are, you'll see that it's facing over 4 years. And when you look at the stats, the mine worker is earning about 4,500 currently, of which that money, Indians and whites, they were earning in 1997. So it took a black mine worker to get to 4,500 about 17 years. So we are in 20 years in democracy. Nothing has been done. Everyone is quiet. Percentile increase is just widening the gap. I've never heard Solidarity coming very strong saying, but we are working, I've got members who are the miners, shift boss, but their assistants who are blacks are earning 4,000 rand. What are we doing about that?
Is there a disparity between the pay between black and white miners?
Yeah, first of all, I'm glad that I'm getting the opportunity to respond because we're sitting now with a similar situation, Solidarity representing mainly skilled workers, and the demographics have changed. So we've also got entry-level black workers, and we've got also in our skilled categories a lot of black workers and miners who are also getting frustrated now because their argument, and that's our members' argument, is that the remuneration gap between entry-level and skilled is getting smaller, and that skills are not rewarded. So what are we doing about it? Solidarity have approached Lonmin to have a joint initiative to start a technical college so that we can train entry-level workers to up their skills so that they can double their salaries, not earning 12.5 but earning 25,000 with better skills. That initiative, not to our wrongdoing, in the end failed, and that was our way of trying to improve mining and for Joseph's members.
Okay, Mr. Baleni?
Yeah, the issue, Peter, here, there are inequalities. Inequalities are quite huge. If you look at the level of the CEO, sometimes they earn is as if they got permanent disability. Now, if a person is going to earn 25 million rand in 1 year, it is a serious challenge. There is also inequalities in terms of race and gender. Regardless of race, when it comes to gender, women earn less as compared to their men counterparts. But the DG in the beginning, Peter, raised the issue of the framework from your question. The reality is that the framework has not been implemented. Not all stakeholders, firstly, have signed it. Secondly, not all stakeholders are actually implementing. Today, post 16 of 2012, we have lost 45,000 workers killed. And these workers are brutally murdered.
By who?
Hacked.
By who?
Some of them are tortured. In other
By
words,
who?
Well, we are waiting for the police. There's about 99%.
But you know, though, don't you?
There are 99% of suspects belong to one union, right? 99% of those who have been arrested belong to one union. But the brutality is the main worrying factor. Is that we have instances where women are stripped naked and paraded in front of 10,000s of men, their sin is for reporting for duty during non-protected strike. In Anglo Platinum, Peter, 5 women were picked up at night in their homes, and they were stripped naked and stoned. They ended up in ICU. Is that a demand for wages?
All right.
Clearly, it cannot be true.
It sounds like, for me, that there is a war on, and it's between unions, and the workers are the victims in this. Is that a fair assessment, Mr. Mathunjwa?
I think let's not divert the attention of inequality. I mean,
We can talk about inequalities. Raise the
I'll
point.
get to
Yeah,
it. I'll
okay.
get to it. But let's not divert the issue of inequality. That for the last 20 years, the workers in mining, whereby NUM was the majority, even before 1994, the lives of the workers hasn't changed in terms of salary take home. That's a fact. The issue of violence, we've denounced violence in all formation. We don't support it. And we came very clear that the SAPS, the security cluster, should act objectively, not to be biased, and arrest those perpetrators. We are not, a barrier for
But Mr.
any law
Mathunjwa,
enforcement
to
to deal
be
with
fair,
them.
though, to
But
be
as
fair.
far as we know, we don't have any person that we have killed.
So you're saying that these are just random people just acting on their own?
But the fact of the matter, from the 23rd of January, when the strike started, to the last 3 months, it's only AMCU members that were killed. One was killed by the police at Union Mine, Anglo, was fatally killed by R5. Nothing happened. The police was given 500 rand bail. No, wait. At Marikana, our member coming from Lon Min was stoned to death wearing AMCU t-shirt. That was within the 3 months. We reported all those things, and nothing has happened. But I'm not suggesting that is tit for tat.
Are
But
they
the point
robbers?
that I'm saying is the violence is being there. Our members are killed. No one has been
Okay.
arrested.
Are these robbers that are doing this?
That's why the police are capable
Okay.
of doing that.
The issue of change, since 1994, Peter, is very important. We can't claim that there's been no change. We have been in this space for more than 31 years. Mr. Mathunjwa, he used to be a member of NUM. He says when he started mining, he was earning 300. As a result of changes of NUM, by the time he left, he was earning more than 40,000. Practically, I'm giving an example about him. There was no condition of service.
All right.
There was no condition of service. There was no housing. There was no pension fund for black workers. There was no medical aid. I'm not suggesting what they are earning is sufficient. They want more. We agree they want more. But don't claim to say nothing has changed.
Okay. DG, from what I'm hearing here is that there is war out there, and no one wants to take responsibility for the actions of their members, whoever they may be. They're blaming some third force, guys that are just floating around. But it's clear from people watching from the side that they're killing each other. What does the government have to do? You can't sit and have talk shops. You actually have to jump in there now. What can you do? People are dying.
Thank you for that. Let me first answer the issue of saying, has the mining industry changed? Are things not happening? Because I picked up that there's a view that, since 1994, nothing has happened. And it is certainly not true. Earlier on, I mentioned that, the mining industry of South Africa has got a long history. And in 1994, when the democratic government came in, we had to change a lot of issues. We had to transform the industry. But it had to be done in a very orderly manner. And to do that, we had to come with new policies. From the green paper, the white paper was developed, and the MPRDA, the Principal Act, which governs the mining industry. That was implemented in 2004. And I can tell you that this act has changed a lot in the mining industry. For example, if you look at the number of mines which were there before 2004, they were around 900. Now we have almost doubled that. They are at around 1,700 or so. Now, the whole other issue, which I want to touch on, is the issue of saying government is not doing anything when it comes to security. Not at all. Through this process of the deputy president, we have created these mine crime combating forums, which involves labor, they involve business. We interact with everyone to ensure that there's peace and stability. As we are talking now, government has deployed police there. The Minister of Police has been involved in this matter. The Minister of Labor has also been involved in ensuring that this matter is resolved. The Minister of Mineral Resources also has been involved.
All right. So you can provide security for people going to and from work, but when they're at home, they're getting picked out and they're getting harmed, and that's a problem. How do we protect them? And then the other thing is, we've got union members walking around with knob kerries. What does that suggest except belligerence? Mr. Mathunjwa?
I mean, we've been saying many times that no one should carry.
But they are.
But remember, this is South Africa. This is not New York. I mean, the traditional weapons, a man, when he walks out, he used to carry his stick, but not with an intention that he has to kill. So it's an initiative that needs to be taken by government to go to have a road show or how to change your culture to be a Western culture. It's not for AMCU to do that alone.
But don't you think it's intimidating?
No. We've been carrying sticks many times, unless maybe you are not from Africa. So you cannot change overnight. And let's come with the issue of security cluster. The commissioner, Mampiega, he called a forum in Rustenburg, whereby sits ANC or the Tripartite Alliance and the government, excluding AMCU. And all the investigators of the SAPS, they report to that cluster. That is on record. We wrote a letter even to the minister that if we are talking about stability, why do you form a forum with the government of which exclude other stakeholders? And there is no answer today to the minister. We reported those issues.
Okay, Mr. Du Plessis, and then I want to get something from Mr. Baleni.
Thank you, Peter. In the first instance, all those various forums, there's an open invitation to all stakeholders, so nobody is excluded. But the difficulty we are having is that we're not sure if we're dealing with a labor relations issue, although we have to resolve it around the wage negotiation table. If we look what happened since January 2012. The unions involved, Solidarity, go back 1922 at the strike. The NUM have been our partners for 31 years. The trade unions involved in the past, they've never been angels. But the end result is that if you look at the high level of violence and intimidation, that is something new and it's unknown. If we look at some of demands that is unachievable, then you think, do we really want a settlement? Don't we want to use this kind of instability for other reasons? And then if you look at all the lives that's being destroyed, if you take it one example, Lonmin was supposed to 2 years ago to commission a new shaft that will create 6,000 jobs. That is what we actually fight for. In the end, they couldn't do it as a result of the turmoil, and it seems they put it on the back burner. So 6,000 jobs destroyed. So then the question that we pose is that it seems this is not purely a labor relations problem.
Are those jobs decent jobs? I mean, we have to quantify it. Whether it's a decent job or it's just slavery kind of jobs that exploit our people.
All right, okay. One very quick response from you, DG, and then we have to take it to the floor and get more questions from our panelists.
No, I think what is important is that all stakeholders must commit themselves to this process of the deputy president. It is extremely important. And I will be specific here. I would also like to call upon AMCU to really commit themselves to this process. Because if we are not going to commit ourselves to this process and work together, we're not going to solve this problem. We'll go out and point out and say people are being killed, people are being molested. But when a process is put together and government says, let's all be on this process, I would like to humbly request that let's all of us join the process fully, and let's all of us ensure that we sign that framework agreement to take this country forward. It is extremely important.
All right. Let me go to the floor, and then you'll be able to add to whatever people say and what you're saying. Zama's on table 16.
Thank you. The Youth in Mining, SABC and National Union of Mine Workers has been doing some career expo in different mining communities closer where the mine is. There's one even happening now on Wednesday this week. But the challenge we normally find out is that the community amongst the mines, sometimes they suffer a lot. My question to DG is maybe, can we create maybe an empowerment model for the communities around where there's mining sector, so that at least there can be one common model for empowering those communities? Thank you very much.
Okay. DG?
Okay, thank you for that comment. Certainly, a mine cannot exist in isolation. As government, we realize that communities have to be brought on board, especially when it comes to issues relating to them to mining. And issues which need to be focused on are the socio-economic matters around the mine. And currently what we have done is, through the MPRDA, we have come with tools such as the social and labor plan. The social and labor plan intends to ensure that communities effectively and meaningfully participate. We have amended the MPRDA to ensure that there is integration when it comes to economic development relating to the communities and the mining industry. I've taken your point of saying perhaps we also need a generic way of approaching this issue. The new amendments which have been put in place are going to address these issues around communities, I can assure you.
All right. Table 11, Jimmy. Table 11. And I think you're with AMCU, is that correct?
Good morning to you and your guests and the audience. My question really is directed to the captains of the industry, but I don't know, because I thought there was going to be a Chamber of Mines. If there is anyone on behalf of the captains who will respond to it. Is that, I just want to check if, do they acknowledge the fact that the majority of the lowest categories employees are earning very little compared to the minority of the highest category employees? If they acknowledge that fact, I just want to check from them as to how long, to their opinion, do they think that this situation should continue prevailing? When are they intending to address, in closing, the gap that exists between those two levels of categories? Thank you.
All right. Is there a mining house here that might want to be able to comment on that particular issue?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think we have. There's some specific questions I want to ask you, Bridget, a little bit later on. So if you could just bear with me. But who's going to speak?
Table 4.
Table 4. If you could please stand up and just identify yourself and then respond.
Chamber.
Okay, table 4. Are you having a negotiation first? All right, okay, all right. So perhaps maybe we can go to Bridget, who's also the president of the Mining Association of South Africa. So Bridget Motsepe-Radebe, president of the South African Mining Development Association. Table number... Okay, right, there we go. All right, so you're an employer as well, plus also you sit on this association. So maybe you can give us a view. There's this conversation that continues to happen about inequality in the pay at the top line and at the bottom line. What are your thoughts on what you've been seeing, and is this something that can be changed? And I'm wondering also, I mean, this is maybe another question, even if we didn't pay them anything and doubled the salary of our employees, would the mines still be able to carry on working?
I think it's unfortunate we have members of the chamber here, and that question of pay, they should have been able to answer. And it's unfortunate they're not answering it. But when I sit here as a producer of mineral and also as the president of the South African Mining Development Association, which is one of 2 chambers in South Africa, we represent the junior mining chamber that has an asset base of 50 million to 7 billion. But for the 28 years that I've been in this industry, I do agree that there is a lack of income. There's a disparity in terms of those that own in the highest level and those that do not own, but they should be owning at the lowest level. But ownership and income is just one of the aspects. If we look at the charter and we ask ourselves, why is there Marikani? Why are there organizations like EFF that have just emerged? And you ask yourself as a producer, where do these uprising of service delivery happen? It is in the areas where there are mining companies producing. What were we supposed to do as producers? We were supposed to adhere to Section 11 of the Act, Section 100 of the Act actually. Section 100 of the Act has created a charter. The charter has created certain elements of the charter, ownership of which is one of them. To date, 2014, in 20 years of our democracy, we have, if we just make an example, of the 49 listed companies, and there are more than 49 listed companies in South Africa, but 49 listed companies in the JSE index, they're worth 2.574 trillion. But when you look at the compliance of the charter, to date, mining companies should have had not less than 26% unencumbered net value in the ownership of historically disadvantaged South Africans. We only have 2.5%, which is worth 63 billion. Obviously, we are not compliant. Beyond the ownership, look at the human resource aspects and look at the employment equity aspects of the charter. If we adhere to them 100%, we'd not be sitting here talking about pace. And if you go beyond that, procurement, human resource development, procurement and beneficiation. In these areas where there are mines, if every mining company was committed to making sure the procurement is at least creating small and medium enterprises for those historically disadvantaged communities, we'd have employment opportunities, we'll have had small businesses and beneficiation. Why do we have to import cars? We're the catalytic converters of platinum. We are the major producers of platinum. We export platinum. The catalytic converters of that platinum is then creating the engines of the car. Why don't we do it here? So I'm just saying to the producers, 2014, the 1st of May, was the charter compliance deadline. And DMR, you're sitting there, what are you going to do? Are you having the appetite to make sure the producers are compliant? If producers are compliant, what will we have? We'll be sitting here talking about employment equity being adhered to, 100%. Human resource development being adhered to, our workers not living in hostels, and those that are not living in hostels, we've replaced hostels with squatter camps. Marikani, there are all these squatter camps, and yes, I'm just pleading, my dear brother. I'm one of those people, the president of AMCU, that sits in this forum that the deputy president have been chairing. I just plead, let us please get AMCU on board. I heard what you said for the first time. I have never spoken to you, but let me just read one thing that is happening rightly in Canada. I've never spoken to you, but when I heard what you said, and I hear what this Canadian minister is saying, South Africa first. The Canadian minister says, the Canadian government blocked BHP Billiton's 39 billion bid for Potash Corp, the world's biggest producer of key crop nutrient, halting what had been the world's biggest takeover. Industry Minister Tony Clements said, in Canada, our natural resources are an important economic driver. I have come to the conclusion that BHP Billiton does not present a likely net benefit to Canada. The South Africa First approach has to be embraced. And the National Union of Mine Workers have so far displayed a lot of leadership in trying to curtail the unrest. Now, I'm not assuming or actually indicating that you, the president of AMCU, is not displaying leadership. You are displaying leadership. It's just the way it's been articulated on the floor that is a bit of a problem. Let us unite and let us together look at Section 100 of the Act, the Charter Compliancy. That's where we start. And once we've done that, then all these symptoms that come all out because of non-compliance will be addressed. 2014, the 1st of May was the deadline. What are we doing about it? And the DMR DTI code, actually the DTI code and the charter should have been aligned long ago. Why are we sitting in 20 years and the alignment has not happened?
All right. DG, compliance, that's your job, isn't it?
Certainly so.
So-
Certainly so, yes. We, as stakeholders, we agreed to targets which have got to be met by 2014. They are in the charter. We've got 9 elements which have been identified there. And the process in the department now is that we are now assessing this compliance. And we are confident that the mining companies will come to the party. We expect them to comply. And if they're not going to comply, we'll address it.
What will be the
with them.
consequences?
The consequences will be governed by the MPRDA because we expect mining companies to comply in terms of the MPRDA when they are given their licenses. So we will engage with them. If we find that they're not complying, then there will be a problem.
So you're going to take their licenses away?
There are processes you have got to follow before you take one's license. You don't just say, look, we don't comply, you take a license. There's administrative justice which has got to be
So
followed
by
there.
when? If May 14 was the date for the cutoff,
By October this year, we will be releasing the information in terms of the compliance of the mining industry. And from there, we'll then look at how we review the charter because we all agreed on these targets. For instance, the 26% in terms of ownership. One of the important things is that the hostels should all be converted to decent accommodation by 2014. So by next year, we should not have any hostel, the single-sex hostels which are currently taken.
all right, let's talk about accommodation. Mr. Mathunjwa, Mr. Baleni. My understanding also is that some workers don't want to stay in the hostels because they want to get the housing allowance. Is that happening?
I think firstly, in terms of peace, because you said I must also respond to that. AMCU is committed to peace, and there's no doubt about that. A recent strike that was in the gold sector, where NUM had a strike of about 3 days or 4 days, I don't know. Our members, ladies, were attacked on the change rooms. The matter was escalated up to the Minister of Police, Babu Natumteto. No arrest whatsoever, with video footages of members of NUM attacking our members. Nothing happened. And why the reason they are not arrested is because the president of NUM, his president, is sitting in a SAPS bureau where he's got a high influence of who must be arrested. And you ask yourself, how can a president of a union sit in a SAPS bureau? You can see yourself that he's got much influence. That's why he's even going to the media and saying, go and check the jails, how many members of AMCU are arrested. Because they are members, they cannot be arrested because it's got an influence to the government. Coming to the peace framework, the peace framework, we are committed to it. They are committed to that and they even sign, but are the one that are doing violence in our members, but they are signatories to the very same peace agreement. The reason why AMCU hasn't signed the peace agreement, our members, we read to them, and also from our side, we make some input of which the government didn't want to include in that peace agreement. For instance, we said no politician should be a BE partner in the mining. Reason being the Marikane, whereby NUM and Lonmin and the state colluded and killed 34 mine workers. That was the reason. We said until such time, the BE, they are not politicians, because we've seen by Cyril Ramaphosa what happened. So we said, if we want to bring peace and stability, one, the salaries of the workers must be of a living wage. Two, the politician, active politician, mustn't be part of the BE because of the experience of Marikana. So we are committed
But
to
Mr.
peace.
Mathunjwa, with all due respect, you're not a poor man yourself, though, are you? I mean, you're not suffering. You must have benefited from BE somewhere along the line.
Come again, I didn't take...
I said, I'm just asking, on the front page of the Star today, there's an article that's saying that you are, that you are living quite large, in a word.
But
so now my question
no,
is...
No, it's fine. I can answer that one.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's free. Here, the breakfast was about the mining.
Yes.
Was about the inequality.
Yes.
Mathunjwa is working.
Yes.
Did I steal to anyone? If I still go to the SAPS and open the case and let me investigate and be arrested. So you cannot compare Mathunjwa, who's coming from the background of poverty, try to build himself, and then now saying it's a sin for me to have 1, 2, 3 without stealing anything. So the strike hasn't been called by Mathunjwa. The strike is been mandated by our members to the national to declare the strike. So therefore, I don't see any correlation about that. If this breakfast show is about my personal life, please arrange a breakfast show. I will take you through to my personal life.
Okay.
I think we need to be careful about discombobulated utterances. Mr. Mathunjwa has become a professional liar. Firstly, he says that during the strike of the gold, there were people injured. That's not true. He said that he imagines it, he wished that it could have happened. There's no such thing. We had an 11-week strike in Northern Platinum, 11-week. Not a fly was heard. There were few members of him, I think 68 of them, who could count them. They were reporting for duty. It's also very, what you call, a breach and encounter with information is dangerous. He talks about SAPS Bureau. President, you want to say the South African Communist Party Politburo.
Okay.
No,
not SABS.
No.
Not SABS.
No.
All right.
No,
Okay. Let me
The
just.
president of NUM is not involved in
All
any.
right. Okay. Hang on.
This was said in the commission.
All right.
His president, he never
Okay.
declined
Let me-
that. It was said before the Farlem Commission. He agrees that he sit in the SAPS bureau.
So from where I'm sitting, again, I keep asking the question.
There's no such.
We've heard suggestions that the Western shareholders are taking advantage of you, that they are exploiting the worker. But what I'm hearing is violence between mine worker versus mine worker, which has got nothing to do with ownership and inequality. Why are you killing each other?
You're raising an important question, because we agree with Mr. Mathunjwa that workers must get a living wage. We all agree. The issue which we're asking ourselves, why would people kill one another if they want wages? Why would people pick up women in their homes, strip them naked, stone them if they want wages? And we can't get that answer. So we are not involved in any violent activity. We go on strike.
Right.
If we go on strike and want to fight for wages.
Just hang on. What's clear is that both of you are saying that your members are not doing it, but somebody is doing it. Mr. Duplessis,
Sorry,
comment?
before that, Mr. Duplessis, can I take this quickly? The issue, we were told I think last night, yesterday, that those women that were killed somewhere in the squatter, 2 people have been arrested, non-union, they are not employed, they are just people. Our members told us at Wonderkop that those people that were killed in the shack were killed by people who are not employed by Lonmin or either of the company.
Right.
They are just a community
Okay,
people.
quick comment
But he
from you,
already
Mr.
claimed that is his
All right.
members.
Quick comment from you,
Yeah,
Mr.
just
Plessis.
to tie the dots, you know, first of all, if you look at the issue was raised, the NUM strike in Gold. We didn't experience from Solidarity side any violence, intimidation or threats. But the day when the Chamber of Mines brought an interdict against AMCU going on strike, and the day when they were successful, that evening and the night thereafter, a lot of shafts were sabotaged at Sibanya Gold. And then you start to wonder, but is there a link? Second, and that destroyed quite a few jobs. The second thing is, if we now look at the right to strike versus the right to work, who is then threatening our members want to go to work, and the NUM members, so it seems the right to work is now subordinate to the right to strike. So if you look at all of that, but my last comment is that Mr. Mathunjwa said, yes, he's a union, it's a bottom-up approach, but as a union leader, and I'm not in his shoes and I can't give him advice, but I can just say, how can you let then in the chain, let the poorest of poor fight a battle where they're getting poorer if the intent is to make them richer, because the wrong people are currently paying the price. So that is just simply wrong and immoral.
Okay, let's go to table 15, Pete Leroux. Table 15, Pete Leroux.
Peter.
Is it Peter?
Oh, Peter.
Oh, okay. Are you saying Peter? Okay,
I'm
Pete.
saying Peter, the question is simply, in an environment of such prolonged strike action, what is the responsibility of unions to alleviate the socio-economic implications for their members? They don't go unburdened by such prolonged action. So what is the role of unions? What are their role to alleviate such problems?
Okay. Mr.
repeat the
Mathunjwa?
question?
Yes. So my understanding is that your union members will contribute during the course of their membership to the unions. Subscriptions come through, and I'm just wondering, is this building some kind of fund to help these employees during these downtimes? Does it go to paying them something whilst they're not working?
Yeah, remember, once we are on strike, it's common cause that there's no work, no pay, so there's no money coming to the union. But however, even during this strike, we've set up a strike fund of which assist on emergency issues that are facing our members.
All right, so let's just get the salary thing cleared up, because I think there's a lot of things that are being reported in the media, and I'm not sure how accurate they are. This 12,500 that you're wanting, is that basic before allowances? And with allowances, what will that come up to?
I think it's not important how it come up to. What is important is a basic salary. That a mine worker took him 17 years to earn 4,500 in 2014. So 12,500, if you compare to Brazil, the RDO in Brazil is earning 25,000 rand. You go to Australia, the RDO in Australia is earning 80,000 rand. The question should be, to second the lady on the floor, why should South Africa, owning maybe 70% of the platinum, becoming a price taker? Why can't we put a price on our commodities? That's a question. Then we will be able to address all these issues. The country cannot survive based on tax and take your all collateral and give it to the investor and do as they please. There is no country. There is no country that can survive.
Okay, Mr. Plessis.
Now, can I just give a very un-union-like response also to that, despite the fact that I agree in general there needs to be changes. If you look at the RDO salaries, that was also for us a big burning point, and sometimes I think the employers are their biggest enemy in terms of their PR. We went to one specific platinum company. We said, can we see the salaries of all the rock drill operators? And there were rock drill operators earning 4,000 take home. There were rock drill operators taking between 16 and 18,000 rand home. Funny enough, all four that we pulled that were earning above 70 were NUM members. And we said, but how is it that the NUM member can take home 17,000 rand? And there was an AMCU member taking 4,000 and other. And the explanation was simple, is that there are a lot lot of debt issues. Obviously, it's a given. But if you work your full shift and extra shift, you obviously earn extra money. So those employees who are earning above 16 and 17,000 as rock drill operators, as soon as they've done their 70 holes, they carried on to do another 17 and they doubled their salary on a specific shift. And those are the kind of things where we say, but we as unions must also look at productivity and look at those specific issues where we can guide our members, because maybe there is a quick fix to get richer.
For the CEO to earn 17.6 million, does he work as a slave as he compared? So our members shouldn't have time to rest. They must drill that 180 holes, and thereafter, when he's supposed to go to sleep, he must also drill in order to get 17,000. That is what we are advocating here, that we won't agree with it. We are saying 12,500, these companies, they can afford.
All right. Mr. Mathunjwa, one question that keeps coming up is, are you earning a salary during this strike at all?
Oh, the recycles question, that one.
I know, but this
even
is
my
what they're
friend here,
asking.
he knows when his members are on strike, he gets a salary. It's what is happening, because it's not all AMCU members in all industries are on strike. If I was on strike, I wouldn't be sitting here. I would be sitting somewhere outside the office of AMCU. So it's common cause.
It's interesting that Chris Griffiths and Mr. Mathunjwa has the same answer. They are not on strike.
No, the point is, I'm not on strike. It's not about Chris Griffiths. Chris Griffiths, he even go further and say the workers are uneducated. He believes that the money that he's earned is because he's educated. His employees are uneducated and are unskilled. That's a fact.
Okay.
On wages.
A very simple question. Very simple question. Can the mining companies afford to double the salaries?
They can
of the West?
afford it. These companies, they are manipulating the prices. They've got companies in Barbados, in America, in the islands, where they dodge the tax. They take the money through to the islands. What they produce here is not what is recorded by DMR. When the product is getting overseas is where they charge a real price because they are dodging the tax. While our members are on strike today, and Griffiths can earn 4.3 million on bonuses, while they're still going to earn another 51 amongst 11 executives, this company, they got money, is just greed and arrogance, and they're becoming insensitive.
All right. Table number 9, is that Mamkheti Mulupian? Table number 9.
Well, my question was meant for whoever would be speaking for the Chamber of Mines, but they are not here, so I'll direct it today. I'll direct it to...
In fact, you know what? Is Vusi Mabena here?
Yes.
He's here.
I'll direct it
Vusi,
to
you're
them.
going to have to answer, I'm afraid, my friend. I'm sorry. Otherwise, we'll deny you breakfast. Okay, all right.
I'll direct it to them at table number 4, or the DG could answer. And it has to do with the social investment obligations in the mining charter. And perhaps the DG can come in there, that it has to be realigned. We cannot have mineral resources communities that are still not benefiting from the minerals that they have. That community development is not, it's not happening, and that the mining companies are taking resources from there. What is the Chamber of Mines' response that 20 years into democracy, you look at a village like Marikana, you look at Rustenburg community, there hasn't been any community development?
Okay. Again, I think that's partly compliance, isn't it? Because you've put in legislation for them to look at these particular issues. So that's something you're going to look at again at the end of this month, and then they've got until October to give you a story, and then you'll review. Vusi Mabena, it seems that the mining companies are either intransigent or just insensitive. Is it both, or what is the story? Why are they not complying? And this executive pay is just not going to go away, I'm afraid.
First, I'm questioning, how did you get my name?
We have spies.
Because I've come here to attend as audience, not to participate. But perhaps the issue that the lady is asking about SLPs is really a compliance issue. Each company You know, I sometimes get accused for saying that an SLP is a promissory document that makes you to get your license to operate. You go to the Department of Mineral Resources and submit a social and labor plan after you have consulted with the municipality and the local communities to say these are the local economic development projects, and this is how the mining industry or our company specifically is going to participate in those. And mining companies, as the DG has rightfully said, are going to be measured towards the end of this year, or the process is currently taking place, on the extent to which they have complied with what they had promised to do in the period or the tenure of their license.
Will they meet their target, do you think?
Those who are members of the chamber, and I've seen some of their, not all of their reports, I think they've gone a long way to meet their targets. The challenge we are sitting with really is much bigger than what a company can do in a myriad of social problems that communities are facing. The challenge with the mining industry is the unfortunate part of it is that it is an industry that is sitting in the coalface of communities. And the challenge, therefore, is that should there be a problem, the mine and the headgear becomes the first target, that because of this mine, we are suffering like this. Mining companies can do so much. And I'm not saying they must not be stretched and be pushed to do what they are supposed to be doing. They are doing a lot to the extent to which they can, to the extent to which they have made promises to the DMR that they will do those things.
All right, we're running out of time, but just one quick question. Mr. Mathunjwa says that you can afford, that these mining companies can afford the increases that they're seeking. Is that true? They're saying that you're hiding income in other countries.
Look, this is a negotiation matter that Mr. Mathunjwa is raising. When a union, doesn't matter which one, goes to a company to negotiate salaries, numbers are put on the table, and so he has got his reasons after he has actually inspected whatever he has inspected, which the mines put in front of him, why he thinks, given what they have given to him, is not true. He has just told us just now that money is being hidden. I don't have evidence of that.
Okay.
So the companies have actually given him, so I'm not going to speak on behalf of any specific company here, but I'm saying for a union to say the companies can afford, it's being informed by whatever he has presented, and he does not believe that the company is saying it cannot afford. So I don't want to get into that debate. Right. It's a debate that is a serious debate around the table during negotiations.
All right, fair enough. Okay, there's a lot of questions coming through on Twitter, and I just want to get a response from, in fact, Leanne in the studio has been tracking them. Let's cross to her now and collect some of those questions and some of those themes, and then maybe we can get you all to comment generally on what the viewers are thinking. Leanne, what are people saying?
Sure. What are they not saying, Peter? I think that's a better question. I'm telling you, there's so much response to this TNA business briefing that's currently underway that you're hosting this morning. Let me read one or two of the comments. Perhaps you can pick up a couple of the conversations that the Twitterati are on about here. This is from Lucas Moeng saying the government does not want to get involved itself because AMCU is the majority. Their NUM is the minority. That's what Lucas is having to say. And he's also saying, this is another one from Daniel Matsimela, saying that the government must cease this diplomatic dilly-dally. The government must protect citizens first, urgently. They must look after the miners. That's what they're saying. What else are they saying? Here we go. Another person saying, the MPRA must dictate minimum mineral wage to 12,500 rand. Mine owners to comply or else they must ship out. That's another comment that's come through here. Mojalefa saying That's the reason why the EFF did a walkout of the last TNA. You are not dealing with inequality anymore, but Mathunjwa, exclamation mark. That's another one over there. Daniel again saying that the core issue is miners' salary. Why is AMCU and NUM attacking each other? Focus, guys. It's not about you. All right, that's just some of the comments that are coming through. Farzana Baba saying, what do your union fees buy you when you are striking and not being paid? Good question. Not much, I don't think. Trevor Tivase saying NUM is the biggest exploiter of all times in the history of the mining industry. Bit of a scathing attack. Perhaps NUM can defend themselves over there. Hope and Yenya saying the violence must come to an end and Mr. Mathunjwa must claim some level of responsibility. All right, Mr. Mathunjwa, that one aimed at you. And people just really saying, oh, here's another one from Mojalefa saying, Bridget Khadebe gave you all a solution. Why don't you bring that forward? You know, that possibly could work. And then I can see Yusuf Abramji, he's going out there and saying, let's get all the stakeholders around a table and publicly sign a peace pledge, because this is just not working. Perhaps this is the way to go. I know I'm eating into your time there, Peter, but I'm just giving you an idea of how many people are getting involved in this debate and this conversation. Barney finally saying, no, I don't think Barney's talking about mining. He's talking more about what's happening when it comes to telecommunications. But let's just go back to you there, and perhaps you can pick up some of these issues.
All right, gentlemen, so there's a number of issues, and the way we'll do it, I'll literally just start with you, Mr. Mathunjwa. You've heard what people have said, the thoughts that they've shared. You comment on what you've heard and respond to the things that have been pointed to you. And we'll just get comments from all four of you on the general feelings of the public. Mr. Mathunjwa?
I think the way forward, or one should think of, the government must be serious about the economy of this country. We haven't benefited. If it needs to take a nationalization, that has to take in order. The citizens of the country come first before the investors. So we've been farming without knowing there is gold and platinum for that matter. We're living peacefully until such time they come and extract this that cause chaos at the end of the day. We are not benefiting. We are only members. Our members are getting diseases, silicosis, you can name it. They leave the employment without limbs and not being paid. So therefore, the government must be the real custodian, mustn't please the investors in the expense of the nation.
Are you going to take any responsibility for some of this violence?
That was the reason they were saying that's why EFF walk out, because you are just personalizing issues. What responsibility should I take?
As a union, not you personally.
No, I mean what response should I take? For what?
This is what's coming.
No, I'm asking you.
Yes.
For what?
The saying for some of the violence that's
what
taking
violence?
place.
I mean, should I take responsibility of something that happening in the community? Where is Sanko? Well, I mean, I will take responsibility on the violence happening at the picketing area. Okay. SAPS has to do their job where they're supposed to do. So that's why they were telling you that the EFF walk because of these personalizing issues.
It's not
Be careful, in the next minute I will walk out. Be careful.
Mr. Baleni?
It will be at the end anyway. In terms of job grading, I think
support
job
the
grading
employer.
It's important that the Chamber of Mines do away with the partisan grading system. The current partisan grading system does not take into account the nature of the work workers are doing, the environment, the difficulties, and all the positive things which Mr. Mathunjwa has referred to. The second issue, Peter, is about the MPDRA compliance. We are not pleased with the company. It's the second 5 years, and we are going to get a lot of stories. And we think that government must be serious. License must be threatened. We cannot keep on getting promises. You look at employment equity, they have not met their targets. One of the gold companies has actually recruited more white males than black people. Procurement, issues of social labor plan, skills, all women employment. So those pillars of the charter are critical. Unless the licenses are threatened, we will come back and say the same issue.
You've also been accused of being the biggest exploiter of all time and the favored child, apparently, in terms of the unions.
Well, sometimes we don't have to respond to everything. People know our history,
But I'm asking you to respond.
what we fought for, what we stand for. We are not going to be extreme left and do the opposite in terms of benefiting ourselves. We are a principal union. We have delivered. We are not promising. We have delivered.
Okay.
Well, as the token white male, I will then respond here. The first instance, the one caller was 100% correct. You know, we show poor leadership. We need to rise above our differences. The reputation of unions, mining companies, government, the industry is tarnished, and we should take the lead. Secondly, we should all commit ourselves to the sustainability of the mining industry, and by doing that, there must be that social contract where we commit ourselves to labor peace and productivity, and in return, the mining houses must commit themselves to remuneration, get rid of a lot of corporate luxuries. You can't sit. The average office of a mine manager in the mining industry is much better than the average accommodation of a mine worker, and that's wrong. And then legislation needs to be changed in line with what we've seen over the past 2 years. And then the one question, what do unions do with their fees? You know, we build colleges, we've built the technical colleges, we built a long-distance learning college, and we give out 8 million rand of bursaries. I know the NUM spent 275 million on these kind of matters over the 30 years. So the end result is that we as the unions need to also start to show stronger leadership.
Okay. DMR, quite a few things have been put in your lap. Picking sides, your favored child, NUM. You must stop dilly-dallying and protect the people. Minimum wage, is that something that you can legislate? Your thoughts?
Okay, firstly, I would like to point out that government does not take sides at all. Mr. Mathunjwa says he knows the minister has invited him on several times to participate in our meetings. And even now, the deputy president has invited AMCU to participate in his process. So we don't take sides. And in those meetings, the officials sit with all stakeholders and discuss issues. I was in some of the meetings where they participated in terms of the framework agreement of the deputy president. We didn't take sides there. The only difference was that when it was supposed to be signed, they did not sign. So I don't know how would one say that government is taking sides there. Not at all. The issues of the salaries are not governed by the MPRDA. Those issues are governed by the Labor Relations Act. And I think I've got my colleagues from Department of Labor. Maybe they can say a few words about that.
Okay, we'll get to them for sure. So dilly-dallying, you don't want to get involved. This is a sense that you were getting.
I've just stated that we continuously engage. We are involved. We have never stopped as government. We are involved continuously. We invite people. If people choose not to come, we cannot force them. You cannot force a horse to go and drink water.
All right. I have to say, I did hijack Mr. Mabena. The Chamber of Mines, as a senior executive, were invited, but they said they couldn't participate in this conversation. But maybe we can get a quick comment from Department of Labor. I believe Deputy DGG is there. Could there be a minimum wage set for the mining sector at all?
Well, in terms
you've
of
got
the law,
30 seconds to answer. Can you stand up and then...
In terms of the law, minimum wage can be set for any sector. Now, to answer that question, whether is it desirable, that's something different, because presently, minimum wages and sector determination are set up for those sectors that cannot stand up on their own, where there are no collective bargaining negotiations taking place.
All right, very good question for you. I believe there was a clause that was taken out, Labour Relations Act, that said there will be compulsory arbitration when we get into a situation that we're in now where both sides won't give. Shouldn't we be having that kind of clause and force them to have an agreement?
No, there was no such a clause in the previous amendments. But in the negotiations, I mean, there is a document that we've sent at NEDLEC where we're asking this question to both labor and business. What is it that we need to do to deal with all of these issues, the issue of income disparity, the issues of long strike, the issues of violence, and that's a discussion that social partners are.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Deputy DGG, for sharing your thoughts with us. And with that, I have to say thank you to my guests as well. Mr. Thibedi Ramonja, Director General, Department of Mineral Resources, Gideon du Plessis from Solidarity, Frans Baleni from NUM, and Mr. Joseph Mathunjwa from AMCU. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us. And we wish you the best of luck in getting this sector to come together. Thank you very much for your time. And to you at home, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your tweets and thank you for your contributions. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you at the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.